Welcome to Podcast, the Business of Dentistry podcast, brought to you by Practice Plan. Podcast delivers the best business advice, real-life stories, and practical hints and tips to make your practice a more profitable and sustainable business. And now, here's your host.
Hello and welcome to our latest podcast. My name is Les Jones. I'm the Creative Director at Practice Plan. But more importantly for this podcast, I'm also one of two speakers at this year's Practice Plan Workshop Tour. And in my session in the afternoon, I'm talking about creativity and how creative action and being creative in your own life can have such an impact, a positive impact on your life, both your personal life and your professional life in practice. And I thought I'd spend a few minutes with you just talking to you about creativity and giving you a few hints and tips about how you can bring creativity more into your working and personal life. So first off, what is creativity? I think a lot of people kind of get a little bit nervous around that word. They think it's to do with artistic skill. And for me, creativity is far, far more than that. It's not a word to be scared of in any way. For me, creativity is simply a willingness to think differently, to come at things from a different perspective, to ask questions and to come up with new ideas. And yes, of course, those can be artistically taken forward, but they can also be applied to your business, to your home, to lots of different things in your life. And for me, everyone has latent potential to be more creative. If you want to see real creativity in action, try watching a little group of preschool children in the playground playing, because they just have no fear. They make games up, they create things, they use empty boxes and stuff like that to make castles or dens or whatever. And some research done a while ago shows that prior to going to school, 90% plus of preschool children show extreme right brain creative tendencies. But by the time those children have left school, that number has gone down to just 7%. And that's because the education system in the UK and around the world is really not geared to embrace creativity. If you want to kind of get 100 people through an exam, then you have to kind of teach them how to do that the same way, and therefore creativity gets a little bit suppressed. And as a result, people stop being creative. There was another piece of research done in America a while ago by a large corporation who wanted to employ some extreme creative thinkers to come up with their new innovations. The problem was they didn't fully understand what it was that made people creative. So they commissioned this research and they went out and they did a lot of work, and they thought there'd be a whole raft of reasons. But when it came back, there was just one fundamental difference between the people who were creative and the people who were not creative. And that was, the people who are creative believe they are creative. People who are not creative believe they are not creative. And that's it. It's a belief system. And if you believe you're creative, you do creative things, which just reinforces that belief. If you believe you're not creative, then you don't do creative things, which again reinforces that belief. So my first message to you would be that wherever you think you are on that kind of continuum, you have far more latent potential to be creative in your life than you would ever give yourself credit for. So how can you be creative? Well, let's talk about being creative perhaps in your dental practice. There are ways in which you can stimulate creativity with yourself and with your team. The first tool I would introduce to you is something called challenge and alternatives. So get a group of your team together, get some pens and paper, flip charts are great as well, and then choose a topic within your practice. It could be how your front desk operates. It could be your website. It could be how you follow up on treatment. But choose one of those kind of areas of business and then challenge how you normally do things. Ask yourself, why do we do things the way we do things? And come up with some of those reasons. Quite often, people do things simply because that's the way they've always done them, and they've got into that rhythm of doing it. But then once you've understood why you do it and what the reasons are, you can then ask yourself, what are the alternatives? If we didn't do things the way we currently do, how else could we do it? And use that as a kind of a catalyst for coming up with ideas. And at this point, don't worry about the quality of the ideas. Great brainstorming is about quantity, not quality in the first instance. It's about getting as many ideas out on the table in a shorter space of time as you can possibly do. Once you've done that, you can evaluate. You can get rid of the ones that you don't think have any merit, but you can then look for the nuggets, the things that you can implement into your business. And a great way of kind of following up is to choose the quick wins. Choose the things, the ideas that you can implement at low cost straight away. Because what that does is it gives people within the team the confidence that if they come up with ideas, things happen rather than just being put in a drawer and forgot all about. So challenge and alternatives. Why do we do things? What are the alternative ways in which we could do this? And can we come up with different and better ideas? Another thing that I would use for generating ideas and as a catalyst for creativity within your practice is to use stretch goals. So what do I mean by a stretch goal? A stretch goal is a goal that cannot be achieved simply by doing what you currently do a little bit better. So most businesses, be they dental practices or other businesses, tend to set their goals within their comfort zones. So they will set next year's targets based on what they did last year, plus a few percent, which means that nothing fundamentally has to change. They can achieve those goals simply by being a little bit more efficient in what they currently do. A stretch goal forces you out of that comfort zone. So set a stretch goal that makes you think, A, we can't achieve that simply by doing what we normally do a little bit better, which means B, you have to do something different. Different and better is what drives creativity. So think of a stretch goal. So you might think to yourself, how do we kind of reduce the number of cancellations, not by 5%, but by 75%? How do we attract not just 5% more patients to the practice, but 50% more patients to the practice? How do we generate certain treatments within the practice, not by a small increment, but by a large percentage? And once you've got that stretch goal on the table, then you can use that as a catalyst for driving new ideas, because you have to find new ideas to be able to deliver that stretch goal. And what you'll find with stretch goals is even if you fall short, you will probably far exceed what you would have done by just sticking within your comfort zone and making small incremental improvements. So those are two things you can use within your business to drive creativity through everything that you do. And think about the areas within your business where creativity can apply. Yes, of course, there are times within a dental practice where protocols and systems and ways of doing things are really, really important and have to be done the same every time. But there are other areas like your website, like your reception and waiting area, like your surgeries, like how you deliver a treatment plan. All those things, how you communicate, how you do your social media, all those are areas that would benefit from creative input. So don't think that creativity doesn't apply to your practice. It absolutely does. And then in your personal life, I'll give you one tip, I think, that will really get you being creative, and that is hobbies. Find a creative hobby. Outside of practice plan, I do collage art. Collage art for me is a great way of kind of relaxing, of tapping into certain parts of my brain that I don't normally tap into, of getting away from a computer screen, working with my hands. And I can quite easily lose 4 or 5 hours in my studio in the blink of an eye. So find a hobby that has a kind of creative element to it. That could be something like a craft, like art. It could be gardening. It could be cooking. It could be music. It could be anything like that actually you start to do on a regular basis. One great way of doing that is to start a journal. Start a journal where you can write stuff down, where you can draw little pictures, observations, that acts as a kind of visual diary, if you like. And once you get into that, you find that your writing improves, you find your drawing improves, your observational skills improve, and also you're creating something that has a real kind of value to kind of return to and look at in the future. So hobbies for me are a massive way of tapping into your creativity, and the more you do them, you'll find the better you get. So for me, I'm, as you would expect, as the creative director of Practice Plan, I'm a massive advocate for creativity. I think it can deliver huge improvements to every business, but I also think it can deliver huge benefits to your personal life, not just in terms of helping you to express yourself creatively, but also from a mindfulness perspective as well. And you'll find that all those values come through when you embrace creativity into your life. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you again on the next podcast.